What is up, guys? Welcome back to the GAINZ train. This is actually week 4/week 5 update. Did not do an episode last week because I was coming fresh off of Wadapalooza weekend and honestly just did not have the energy. I had such a good time at Wadapalooza. There was so much going on, but I was mentally and physically drained, tapped out last week. And it was a long week of me trying to recover. And before I kind of go into where I'm at right now in my GAINZ train, I just want to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about how important it is for you guys to listen to your body. And a lot of you guys know that this whole thing has started from a health issue that I had towards the end of 2023, in which I was actually hospitalized. And this time, I know, I know that when I travel, I have a lot of travel anxiety. I get a lot of stress about not sleeping in my own bed, so I don't sleep well. And when I have a lot of things going on, it's very hard for me to relax. And I think a lot of people undermine how much stress travel puts on their body. And typically, when I've done this in the past, where I have like a weekend trip, I'll come back and I'll just jump right back into work, right back into training. And I knew that that's kind of what started the recovery debt that I was in last year is habits like that. And so I'm really proud of myself for telling myself, hey, on Monday, I'm just going to lay a little bit low. I'm still going to get work done. I'm going to be productive, but I'm not working out today. I'm not putting myself in that kind of a stressor. I'll do some walking. And I'm really just happy that I was more mindful. And it did take me a few days to get my sleep back into regulate or my sleep regulated again, which is something that also people don't realize the big impact that that has. You know, it took me probably until Thursday to feel like I had a really rested night of sleep. And I now feel a little bit better going into this week. So just something to think about, especially for those of you guys that do a lot of travel and you are dealing with maybe not feeling your best and wanting to optimize things. So for me, I think one of the wins I had last week was I actually prioritized not just jumping right back into work. And that was hard. And I'm like, I know you guys are like, well, I don't have the ability to control my schedule. And sometimes it just means undercommitting. And like, had I not had that opportunity on Monday, I probably would have been like, hey, I'm going to have to undercommit and come home early enough on Sunday to ensure that I do get a good night's sleep. So, anyways, so I'm going to kind of recap a little bit. Wadapalooza, amazing experience. I was coaching, but also spectating. And coaching was a lot of stress. I left Thursday, had to be there for the athlete check-in, and then obviously had to get myself checked into the hotel. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday was literally just between the events. You know, I had to obviously warm the athlete up and then watch the athlete perform and then cool the athlete down, the mental talk. So it's probably a 3 hours every single time that she would be out there on the floor. So it was a lot. And I was still working throughout the weekend, trying to make sure I kept up with things so that when I did come home on Monday, I wasn't obviously overwhelmed with work. So that was the other thing that I did to kind of set myself up to allow myself to recover a little bit. So on my end, my workouts, I did not work out, which is usually a huge stressor for me because I like working out daily. So I did work out Thursday. I dropped into a gym down there in Miami. Friday morning, I did like a zone 2, like easy, like Cindy thing just to get some movement in and get some range of motion in my body. But then I was at the event all weekend and really did not have the time and didn't want to add extra stress, which was also a huge win for me because typically I will wake up really early and get a workout in before if I have a lot going on that day. So it was a good piece of progress for me to be able to say, hey, you're busy doing other things this weekend. You don't have to worry about working out. And honestly, it wasn't the worst case scenario. So I literally had a good weekend Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm sorry, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, where I didn't work out. So it's good. And guess what? I survived. I got through it. But food wise, I did struggle a little bit over that weekend, just making time to eat. It was very busy and just trying to play catch up. So I know I didn't get all of my calories in over that weekend. And so I really used last week as, hey, like, I'm not going to, like, it's not a reset, but it's like last week wasn't a really good gauge of what you need to do this week. You need to just get back to doing what you're doing consistently. You know, you haven't been training. You haven't been eating as much. And I was still eating around 24 to 2,600 calories, but I just was missing like one of my afternoon snacks because I just didn't have the time. You know, typically it was around the time that I was warming her up. And then by the time I was done, I'm trying to eat dinner. And at the end of the day, we also have to listen to our bodies, like on both ends. I know that I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum right now than a lot of you guys are. And a lot of people are trying to lose weight, but it's the same thing on the other end. You have to recognize that, like, getting back on track. It's just like, hey, I can't control this right now. I'm going to do the best that I can. And I wasn't going to make any changes last week, knowing that my weekend was a little bit off with training and nutrition. So if you struggle with that and you're like, I'm not getting any results, and that keeps happening to you, that's also why. Like, if that was feeding into another weekend of this, and I was going to continue to say that to myself, I would just be making excuses. So I'm just going to check the comments. I see a couple people here. What's up, Corey? What's up, Holly? I survived. I am still here, Corey. I was here last week too, but just not on the GAINZ train. So right now, training wise, I actually am working with a coach, and we're doing a lot of like hypertrophy based work. But my muscular endurance is definitely very down. This year has been really hard on my body. I should say last year. When I had the bilateral hamstring tears, I haven't really been able to train my legs much at all. So I know that that's very humbling right now coming back, because I typically do have really good leg endurance and strength, but right now it's pretty pathetic. And so I'm happy that I'm making progress again. Um, and I know that as I get some weight back on, the strength will come back a little bit quicker. So, weight wise, this is the hard part for me, guys. And you guys are going to relate to this. All right. So, I mentioned I had the weekend, I didn't eat as much. I was not working out. So, I didn't think it was going to really matter that much, but I actually did lose a pound. So, I went from being up to actually being down at my lowest weight ever. Like, I was 119, and I haven't seen that number probably since I first started CrossFit. So I freaked out a little bit. And I say this also, like, on the opposite end of the spectrum. Sometimes you might freak out when the scale fluctuates in the wrong direction. You're trying to lose weight and it goes up, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't flip out. I didn't just start like pounding calories. It was just like, okay, like, it was a stressful weekend. You were on your feet a lot. You weren't eating as much. You got to get back to doing what you're doing consistently. I didn't change anything crazy. I was just more mindful. I rested a little bit more last week. It made sure I was eating all of my calories. And so going into this week, I feel really good. I am kind of toying with the idea of adding more food in this week, because I am actually looking to get a little bit more aggressive. Just because I want to really, like, just get this fucking over with. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I feel like whether you're trying to gain or lose weight, it's like at some point you just want to rip the band-aid off and just get moving. And I'm like, all right, like, what can I do differently this week that's really gonna like jumpstart things a little bit? And I'm like, you know what, Cheryl? That's stupid. Like, let's just stick with doing what you're doing. So I am gonna kind of reassess things midweek. If things are still sitting where they're at, like I said, I don't want to be sitting at that weight. If I'm not back up to 121, 122, then I am going to be a little bit more aggressive this week. And so I'm going to wait until Wednesday before I make that decision. And I'm just going to likely do what I'm going to do differently this week is, rather than adding food every day, I'm going to add in a couple of high calorie days. And I'll put in like 2 days where I'll be like 300 to 400 calories higher, because I'm also getting some gut issues going on. Obviously, the amount of food I'm eating requires a lot of work for my digestive tract. So I think it would be easier for me to just kind of set myself up for success that way. And so again, I know I'm talking to you guys from the gain side of things, but it's the same thing on the opposite side. There's more than one way to work, obviously, with weight loss or weight gain. And I think that that's going to work a little bit better for me than trying to do it every single day. So, a little bit of an update there. I do have a couple more updates I saved in my phone that I want to talk to you guys about. I think that another thing to really talk about is um, the whole, like, when we get too busy for things. And I did want to make sure I talked about this when I was at Wadapalooza. I don't want you guys to think that it's okay to make excuses. I honestly should have prioritized eating before I went and warmed up my athlete. I should have done that, but I didn't make it a priority. And so I do own my mistakes of not taking that ownership, and I'm taking ownership of that. And I think it's important for me to say that, because a lot of people struggle with, like, being really busy and getting behind on their eating, or making convenient decisions because they're too busy. And so I think it's really important that we all recognize that we're never too busy. It just comes down to sometimes making something a priority. I very easily could have had a freaking protein bar while I was warming her up, and I chose not to, So there's things that I could have done that would have made that weekend a little bit more successful, and I will learn from that. Other update I want to give you guys, and this is super frustrating. Sorry, if you're listening on my podcast, I had to take a sip of my drink. Is in November. So all of this health stuff started happening for me in October. Oh, well, it happened before that, but that's when I was hospitalized the week before Halloween. And I had a very expensive lab test done that I had to pay out of pocket for. And it was sent out, I believe, about 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. And I have been waiting for results on this test because it likely is part of, well, it's basically the diagnosis that I've been waiting for to kind of see exactly where I'm at with my health. And one of my friends is like, "Have you gotten your labs in? Have you gotten your lab results back yet?" And I called the lab in December because I had to follow up with my doctor to go over them, and the labs still weren't in. And I called, and apparently, this is going to sound crazy, there was some kind of like a security breach at the lab, and like they had to like shut everything down, and everything was delayed. But apparently, my labs were one of the ones that are delayed. So I'm still waiting to get my lab results back. And in fact, I'm going to call my doctor when I get done here to figure out what's going on because I had to pay out of pocket for that test. And I'd like to know what my results say. So that was something else that I want to talk about today. Um, Other things that I want to talk about is something that I think that we all struggle with. And it's something that was really hitting me yesterday is in this journey that I'm on, like there's a lot of stuff going on in my head. Whenever we're talking about our body, whether we're trying to lose weight, gain weight, whatever it is, there's a lot of shit going on up in your head. When we're making changes, there's a reason for it, and there's a lot of things that we're often uncomfortable about ourselves with. And yesterday I had somebody DM me, and the message they sent to me, if you didn't see it on my stories, I'm just going to read it to you, because it was very blah. I wanted to ask you a question as I am curious about your body type. You are very lean, but your stomach appears to be enlarged like pregnant. I am curious about it, but you don't mention that you are pregnant on your page. So I'm wondering if it is caused by a health issue. I hope this is okay to ask. Well, I'll be honest. No, it's not okay to ask that. But that really hit me pretty hard yesterday. I literally did not know how to respond to that, um, because I have, since I was younger, always been very insecure about my belly. And she would not have known that, but years and years ago, like before CrossFit, when I was in a very bad headspace, that was something that always made me very insecure. Like, I don't know why I've always felt that way. Um, and I know that part of the reason why she said it is, and to this day, I feel like I look like I have a big belly, and I still have, like, we all have those body parts that we don't like about ourselves. And I know they're like, but Cheryl, you have abs. Like, it doesn't change the fact that we're still insecure about something. And I know that why it might look or it might be perceived that way, but this comment really hit me hard yesterday. And what I responded to her was, yeah, I actually have had some injuries this year, and my legs have atrophied quite a bit, and it does make my upper body appear to be much larger. So, because that is the truth, my legs right now, I feel, in my opinion, are unproportionately small compared to my upper body because I have not been able to train them. And this is the dumb shit that, like, I'll be honest, like, one of the reasons why I want to gain weight, I want my legs back, because I do feel insecure about my belly. But hearing that yesterday was like, all I heard was like, oh my God, you have a fat belly. So it's really hard when you hear comments like that, and you're also like trying to do things to change your body. And in fact, when you're trying to do things to gain weight, right? Because now in my head, I'm like, oh fuck, like what am I doing? Right. And it's just like, you know, it just got me thinking about, it is not okay to comment on people's bodies. It's not. No matter where they're at in their journey. And it's something that I feel very strong with. I get it. It's like even if you see somebody that their body's changed a lot in a good way, like they've lost weight, um, compliments can sometimes be more hurtful than harmful, harmful than hurtful, harmful than helpful. And, you don't know what a person's going through mentally. And so for me, I am on a mental battle. Like this is something that like I know that I need to come to terms with. I need to gain weight. And I don't feel unhappy with being where I'm at, but I know that I also need to do this for my health. So it's like the easy thing for me would have been like, well, fuck you. Like, I'm just going to not gain weight now. But instead, I was like, okay, Cheryl, this person is not thinking logically. Like, you're acting. It just, I want you guys to know that you're not alone, that when people comment on your body, it's not comfortable and it's not okay and it's not acceptable. However, we have to also learn how to like react to that. I know, Corey, I would never ask somebody that. I would never, ever ask me that. Um, but we have to learn how to react to those things and recognize that whatever that person was thinking doesn't really matter because if I let it feed into my decisions and my actions, now they win. And I'm not going to do that. So I stayed on track yesterday. I am on track today. But yeah, I mean, the main thing is like, yes, right now I do feel like my legs have atrophied and I want to get my legs back. I want to get my strength back. I want to feel better about my body. And I don't feel good about my body right now. So I'm trying to like really come to terms with the fact that I do want to gain weight. In fact, what I want to show you guys before we close up here today is I'm going to show you guys some photos of myself. And I'm going to, like I said, this is full transparency. This is me really wanting to be open and honest with everybody with where I'm at on my journey. And that's why I'm going to do this. Let's see. Bear with me because I'm going to put them on my phone. Oops, and airdrop them to my computer. I should have done this first, guys, so bear with me. All right, let's see if I can pull these bad boys up. I can. Okay. So I'm going to pull up some photos of myself and don't mind the sleepy eyes because these were taken probably first thing in the morning. Present, share screen. I believe that is what I want to do. Don't mind the 5 million tabs open on my computer. I just want to make sure that you guys can actually see what I'm trying to show you guys. You can. Okay. So I'm going to pull up some photos of myself. And if this is triggering to anybody, I apologize. All right. So what you see here is 2 photos of me. And like I said, don't mind the sleepy eyes. All right. So the photo on the left is me at about 135 pounds. I was obviously tired, but much stronger, much healthier. And the photo on the right was me last week. So these aren't filtered or anything like that. This is just how I looked. Same thing here. This is another photo of me comparison wise. Photo on the left is me at about 135 pounds. On the right is me now. And sharing this with you because, oops, this is where I know I've lost a little bit too much weight. So vascularity is there. My legs have changed a bunch, much leaner. And I know that I don't look unhealthy in either photo, but I'm trying to get back to the girl on the left, a little bit closer to that look because I know I was much healthier there. So just wanted to kind of share that with you guys and where I'm at in my journey. And yeah, so that was the main thing I wanted to kind of close up with. So, but anyways, I am looking forward to this week. Training's going well. My body is actually feeling pretty good. knock on wood, I can actually do everything. Um, I agree, Corey. I know I don't look unhealthy, but I just think that there's a difference between being like, I think it's how I feel, like I just want to feel a little bit stronger. It's really like I said, it's my strength and my energy levels that I feel like I would be a little bit better. So that's why I'm happy to be on the hypertrophy program. So but that's pretty much it. That's my gains train update right now. I feel like I'm in a good headspace. Like I said, I am, yeah, true. I'm not prepping for a bodybuilding show. Nope. I'm prepping for hopefully competing again at some point in the CrossFit Games. Um, at this point, I'm going to end up being 40 by the time I actually compete again. But that's my update for this week. So not a whole bunch. Well, actually, it was quite a bit. But I am looking forward to this week, and obviously hoping that next week my goal is to be up and be excited about that. And that's pretty much it, crew. I will see you all tomorrow. I'll be recording another podcast tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about micronutrients. So we talk a lot about macros, and it was requested that I bring up some stuff about micros. So that's what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow on my regular podcast. But if you guys found this episode helpful or anything on my gains train, or you want more help on your own journey, maybe you are on the same end of the spectrum as me, feel free to shoot me a message. Would love to hear from you all. But until tomorrow, I'll see y'all later.